Cool. I do have one thing. I don't know if it's awkward, but Ian, I've done a lot of content with Ian. He tells me that he wants you to sign his damn head jabs. That's what he told me. How's it going, Rogue Scholar, and welcome to a very special video, one that I'm actually honored to present to you because today I have none other than Sam Yang of the Flesh and Blood traded card game, artist, and all-around very nice guy here on the channel to talk about art, his history with art, how you can get into the art industry, a lot of like tips for folks looking to get into the art industry, both on a professional and kind of like a less professional level. And he also talks a little bit about working at Legend Story Studios, designing Dash, and a bunch of other stuff. We talk about a lot of stuff in today's video. It's kind of a long interview, but it was a ton of fun. And I want to say, you know, thank you to Sam once again for coming on the channel and talking with me. We didn't plan on it to be like 2 hours long, but we had such a good conversation and we got along so well that it just ended up being 2 hours long. So without further ado, I'll stop blabbing here. We're gonna start blabbing in the interview. Let's get on with it. So for folks out there who don't know who you are, I can kind of go over a little bit of some of the the more prolific art pieces that you've done for Flesh and Blood, because you've done a lot of art pieces and a lot of like popular cards. So there's like Dash, Remorseless, Herald of Triumph, and you've like a bunch more.
Right, cool. So I guess I am an artist for FAB. So I've done quite a few pieces across the different sets from the very beginning, actually, yeah. And more recently, I've joined the actual company, the team, working as a concept artist. So yeah, I think you mentioned some of my pieces. Yeah, we can go into those a bit more as we go on.
Yeah. I think your art, like, definitely, at least to me, and I know to a lot of other people, like, stands out a lot. It's very like you have your own like style, and it's very like obvious when it's like one of yours. And I think that's super cool because you can be like, oh yeah, that's Sam Yang did that. It looks awesome. So yeah.
That's really nice to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think it's well deserved. So I guess we could just start with like the most generic question, like what kind of like got you into art to begin with? Like for me personally, I used to draw a lot as a kid. I kind of grew out of it a little bit. I used to draw a lot of like anime characters and that kind of stuff as a kid. Yeah. But like kind of what got you into art?
I guess as I go into it, I can't help but think of the people who might be interested in like some of the details. So I'll go into some details, maybe go in this long roundabout story, just because I noticed in your comments in one of your videos about this interview coming up that people were asking, like, you know, if I'm an artist, you know, how can I get in and stuff. So I'm going to blabber for a bit maybe, but maybe it's useful, I hope. Cool. Yeah. So I guess my dad's an artist. So like I when I was a kid, he had all these books of like different game art books and stuff. He didn't do that kind of stuff, but he just had those. I guess he had that. He nerded out on some of those things. So there was always that kind of influence as a kid, and there was also superhero comics. And so I always like kind of read them and tried to copy them. So I spent lots of my younger years drawing like all these muscly men, like, you know, superhero dudes with chiseled faces and Superman kind of shapes, you know. And then later on, I got introduced to anime from a game called Beatmania 97. I don't know, it's like 98. BM98 is this old like a emulator for Beatmania, and like you could download modded songs. And so I'm showing my age a little bit. There was an Evangelion one, and it was like amazing. And so from there, I just transitioned to anime, and then I was like, you know, I think I was like 11 or 12 or something. So it's like I started drawing all these girls, you know, like anime girls and blah blah. And then slowly, I guess. I ended up studying animation, 2D animation as my, I guess in uni. And at that time, like the idea of being a concept artist was kind of, I felt like it was not really known, or it wasn't really common. It was just still like early days, you know. And so I didn't know that existed. And at the end of the animation course, when I realized that 2D animation required like so many drawings per frame, so many drawings per second, so many frames per second, it was just madness, and I didn't want to do like drawing over and over and over. Oh yeah. And I realized you could be a concept artist, you know, in concept, and like have that be turned into something. So I kind of switched gears and on my own started practicing painting, you know, digital painting, back when there were these magazines called Imagine FX, and that was where you could find these little CDs or tutorials, like a few pages long PDFs that taught you like, this is how you do speed painting, or like, this is how you get a painterly look in Photoshop, like early day stuff, and so I kind of did that, and then from that slowly worked my way into games and stuff. So like from uni to what I do now, I took 2 years before I got my first concept job, which is, to me at the time, the job I needed to prove to myself, like a little badge of honor, that I am a real artist, which is such a silly thing. But I, as previously as a teacher, it's funny. This is what everyone kind of, I guess, artists need this validation or a badge, to prove that this is the thing. So it took me 2 years before I got that first real in-house job. Before that, I was doing freelance stuff and trying to make it work, and that was a company called Gameloft in New Zealand. So I moved. I was studying in Australia at the time. I moved a lot, and I moved back to New Zealand because I was here for a little bit before to work in that studio, and was there for quite a long time. And then afterwards, that studio closed, grew and then closed. And I went back to animation, and I was doing like 2D animation, but as a concept artist, so I wasn't actually animating, just getting to do the characters and all that. Then I went to teaching, and I stayed there for like almost 5 years, and it was like it changed my life. And so like that's why when I saw the comment section of your video, I was like, oh, this is like, I'm so keen to talk about it, because like all this time with students and stuff, it's like it really is like I love that kind of thing. So I'll go into that more later, I guess. But when I started teaching, I also had all this extra time outside to do my personal stuff. Like I was talking about art all day, and so I wanted to start building up and doing little jobs here and there. And that's when the FAB thing started,
Okay.
Yeah, I think the guys found my art in a local published book that the Weather guys published or something. I think so. And then they reached out. And then it kind of grew from there. Yeah. That's all the, like, I guess I took out, I said I was going to go into details, but I took out all the little motivation, or like, I guess my personal motivations, or the struggle stuff that led to that, but maybe that'll come up later when we talk about, I don't know, vice.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the journey. Yeah.
Nice. I have a couple like little questions, just really small ones. So you said you worked in animation. I totally didn't know that. What kind of stuff did you work on? Was it like, you said it was like 2D animated. Was it like more anime, more like Western cartoon? No. Was it like effects? Like what kind of animation was it?
Yeah. So it's nothing. I think it's not anime, and it's not anything like mainstream, I guess. But the stuff for that company was a local one. So they have this show you can find on YouTube. It's very cheesy, I guess, but it's a kids show, so it fits. Okay. It's called Darwin and Newts, and it's about two kids, living out in the country who kind of experiment with scientific stuff. So it has like Dora the Explorer kind of vibes,
Okay.
And through that they try to imbue like Maori culture and like language, because we're here in New Zealand, we're really trying to, have more people understand the language and the culture and stuff, So that was the idea. But yeah, so over there, that's what we did. But I guess if we're talking about like anime, if we're going to that zone, before I got that first in-house job, in that 2 years, I spent over a year like doing contract work for a company called Siren Visual. They were the sister company of, I believe the owner was the brother of the owner of Mad Men. I could be wrong, but something like this. Mad Men, who imports stuff to Australia. Yeah, so I spent. You can find like I did animation, intro animation for the DVD. So every time you chuck one on, you play that first. So I guess the first job I got was an animation job, which I swore I would never do. It just fell back into that kind of thing. But my job there was designing anime DVD covers. So I did like Berserk.
What, you did Berserk?
Yeah, but I didn't make the artwork. They'd send me all the stuff, and
you
then
design it. That's still cool though. Berserk's awesome.
Like force it. Yeah, I actually haven't seen it. I tried to read the manga. Twice now I have, and I can't get far enough yet to get like, the hooks in.
It's really long. Yeah.
Long. Yeah. So I did those ones, and I guess that's as close as I got to anime.
I think it's really interesting. Anyway, like I grew up with like anime, and I still watch anime every now and then. Not a lot, but I still watch it every now and then. So I think it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I can totally understand what you meant by like being like too much of like repetitious stuff getting into like animation, because I think for like anime at least it's like 24 frames a second. So just imagine just like a minute of footage, just like how many just things. Yeah.
And when I was studying, it's funny because like lots of anime, they do they have a new image on every third frame, lots of them. So you can actually watch a little bit of a jitter, but it's like it's consistent, so it feels all right and you get used to it. But lots of Western like style ones kind of don't do that. They do like every 2 frames or single frames, which is just like even more than you're animating everyone, which is a lot of work.
Yeah. Cool. So let's talk about maybe a little bit of like your history with like games and card games just in general. Like, did you play card games growing up? Was it even like a thing, or just like were you not into that kind of stuff?
I was super into it. So actually, I guess to go back to like the beginning again, I grew up in Singapore. I'm from Singapore, so I left when I was 10 to New Zealand, and I lived in Wellington over there. Then I moved to Australia to study, and I came back to work to Auckland to New Zealand to work, and I've been here since like for 10 over years now. And so I feel like each time I moved, I feel like a consistent thing in my life has always been like trying to fit in, like trying to find my place or trying to find friends, and so art has like a close thing to this for me. Like art's the one thing that each place I go, it's like that's kind of the thing that I'm hoping like, oh, these guys find out that I'm good at art or something. Maybe they'll, this is my in, like so this silly thing. But so when I first moved to Wellington, as a kid, I drew heaps, and then the friends I found, we were all like super nerdy. We played card games, fighting games. Tekken was big at the time.
Nice.
I was terrible at Street Fighter always, but we played Pokemon cards,
oh yeah.
And I think that was just when Pokemon blew up was when I was in the start of high school, end of primary school.
Okay.
We're
probably pretty close to the same age then, because that same for me. I was like at the end of here we call it like middle school, end of like middle school, start of high school, I believe was at the start of high school. I don't know, it was around there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the Pokemon boom, right? And kids were like, everyone was playing it, kids were getting beaten up for their cards, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was really into it, and then from that to it became the thing, I guess, like with everyone who plays FAB and stuff, the idea of like you have this community, you hang out at your local game store and stuff, and so we always did that, and it's like that always like it's a really nostalgic, beautiful memory for me, because when I left Wellington and I went to Australia, I was just at the age where I was like, I want to like I guess the truth is I was like interested in girls, I wanted to like like notice me, this rubbish. So I like switched gears and I stopped like playing I guess as much games and stuff, kind of hung out with like different crowds and stuff, and stopped doing art for quite a while. So that kind of disappeared for a long time. And then when high school finished, I took a year off and everything. I say took a year, but like I was kind of a bit all over the place, like partying a little bit and stuff. So it took me a year before a buddy of mine actually said, hey, you've always been pretty good at doing art. I'm doing like an art portfolio course that then lets me get into uni because I don't have anything, blah, blah, blah. And I was in the same position where I didn't have a good, I forget what it's called, like a score for getting into, whatever courses and something. So I joined them, we did a portfolio course, and then that helped me get into uni. And when I got into uni, I was around like-minded people who liked art and stuff, like my competitive nature kind of, it flared up again, and I was like, I need to be the best here. Like I saw this amazing artist, I'm like, oh man, I want to, it's like really competitive, and so that kicked it back up. And then I'm telling all this because doing the FAB stuff, like now I never played really much card games until I started working again, and I picked up Magic, which I played a bit as a kid. Picked up a bit of Magic, and then I dropped that again. But when I started working for FAB, when the Dash stuff came out, so Dash, one of the heroes, I guess. I don't need to say that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dash, yeah. When the Dash stuff came out, one of my old buddies from Wellington, he sent me a message, which I screenshot and it's on my Instagram, which said, he asked me first, like, did you do this thing? I'm just seeing all this stuff pop up. I said, yeah. And then at some point during the day, he sent me a message saying, like a younger us would have been so proud of you. And like, I damn near cried. Like, I was telling my wife about it. I was like, it was so moving for me because it took me back to those moments. And like to send some praise to like Fab's way. I feel like this is the most beautiful part about Fab for me. Like the community, it reminds me of like what I kind of miss and like left when I was a kid. It's like it's reviving and everything. It's super cool. Oh, I feel teary. Like I just talking about that message, but that message was like when we talk about card stuff, it was so like impactful for me. And at the last Battle Hunt event here, I met that old buddy of mine's friends who had known me through the art, and they were like, "Oh, you are his name's Jono. You're Jono's friend, blah blah blah." And I was so happy. It was just like everything came like full circle. Yeah. But that's my involvement with cards.
Nice.
I'm a terrible player, but yeah.
You gotta. Everyone starts somewhere, you know. For those out there, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam. Did you help design Dash? Or did you...
So I guess I gotta give credit where credit's due. Like the team, they have the vision. Like James, up to the very top level, James and everyone, they have the vision. They develop a lot of the idea, the story around it. And I'm gonna mention a name because lots of the team are really low key. Maybe I'm the noisy, annoying, crazy one that's now joining, ruining things. But this one of the artists I work closely with, who has a hand in lots of these things, MJ, amazing artist who hasn't yet trying to convince her to share her stuff and show the world her work. She designs and concepts these things, and then so for Dash it was an interesting one because I got passed on like the initial design, and then I developed on top of that, so designing the armor and everything. So it's kind of a collaboration. So with different parts here and there. And I think at the end, certain bits designed by me, certain bits designed by the others, and then finally the illustration, what looks best, I kind of pull and change things up and stuff. That's that.
Yeah, that's super cool. I do hope the person, like you said, MJ, does like share their stuff eventually. That'd be cool. I know a lot of people out there would be like really cool. I mean, like really like keen on seeing that kind of stuff. So yeah. I should also have seen like the book, like lots of the artworks are hers, So there's like so much stuff there. I just gotta consider share. I actually think I know who you're talking about. We might be friends on Facebook, but
yes.
But yeah.
She's pretty active on like liking all the posts and stuff. And she did a card recently. I always forget the name, and she's gonna kill me. It's Invigorating Light.
Yes. Yeah. It looks so good too.
Yeah.
It's like one of like the coolest foils in the set too. It just looks really sweet when you get it in foil.
Cool. Yeah, that's her. That's
Yeah. I remember we became Facebook friends like way back when Flesh and Blood like first started, like way back like Arcane Rising stuff. Yeah, that's super cool.
It's crazy to see how much it's really exploded, like Flesh and Blood.
And
from the artist angle as well, it's like, I guess, sorry, I think I cut you off, but like many artists, you get approached by different studios and often like maybe many startups too, who are like, hey, we're gonna just got this amazing idea, and you never know what's gonna like really hit. But this was just like, and I think when Crucible came out, it was like it's crazy, huh?
Yeah, one of the things I really like most, at least about where Flesh and Blood is like artist-wise now, and I don't know if they're gonna change going forward, but I love that Flesh and Blood uses a lot of lesser-known artists, like not in the not your common like Magic the Gathering artists, not the same artists that you see in like Fantasy Flight game stuff. It's like a lot of people that I've never heard of before, and I think that's super cool because it shines a light on like this part of the industry that doesn't normally get a lot of light, and I think it's cool, and I think it's deserving. So I'm glad that like that's one of the reasons why it's so cool that Flesh and Blood's exploding too. So like all these talented people can like get more exposure, which I think is
Yeah,
really
I think
sweet.
so. The guys like they really try to push all this. Like when I first started working on Dash, James jumped on. He was like, this is a really meaningful piece, blah blah blah. And just like from the artist standpoint, before I met them and all this stuff, this made it feel really like meaningful. The whole everyone cares so much, But yeah, and it's they before actually knowing that they always talk about stuff like, yeah, we want to help you grow, everything too as an artist, and yeah, it's super cool. Like also because New Zealanders, can often be forgotten about. It's kind of away from the rest of the world. It's cool that it's the game's here, and it's they're propping up local artists when they can and stuff, and yeah, it's just really nice.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. It's funny that you mentioned New Zealand gets forgotten about, because there's a piece, I don't know if you ever watch John Oliver. He does this comedian type stuff.
Yeah.
But he did a piece where people keep forgetting to put New Zealand on the map, on the globe. And he's like,
that's so good.
Yeah. So anytime I see a globe, if I'm out in the store or whatever, I'm like, oh, is New Zealand on here? I have to go find it and see if it's on there.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about your you kind of mentioned this actually before already, but I think it's super cool. Your influence or your pop culture influence on your art, because if you take a look at your art station, you can see you have it broken down into a couple different styles. You have a cartoony one and painterly one, and I think the range here is super cool, because I go to the cartoony one and it's just there's Yennefer and she looks awesome. So yeah, just maybe talk a little bit about pop culture influences on your art style and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I keep jumping because of my animation background, where I love beautiful shapes and exaggerated, simplified stuff. I really think that at the really high levels, that stuff is what is what's amazing. Beyond being able to render something realistically, there's being able to twist the shapes and stuff. So I've always been drawn to it, and there's some amazing artists I've always wanted to follow and stuff, and so I jump between the two a lot, realistic kind of realistic painterly stuff, and then the cartoony thing, the pinups and all that. But I guess influence. So it's all back to stuff I like. It will be the same for you and I think, because of Pokemon Blood at that time, so did Dragon Ball Z soon after.
Oh yeah.
Right? In the Western world at least, and so it was switched from I guess it was more gradual than I thought, superhero muscle man to Dragon Ball Z muscle man, which are a different kind of muscle, but just all craziness everywhere.
So it's funny. It's funny you mention that too, because as a kid, I used to draw a lot of anime, and I was pretty good at it.
Yeah.
But you said you started with the muscle men, and then you transitioned into drawing female characters and stuff. But me, I kind of stopped at the muscle man, and so I'm pretty good at drawing I'm pretty good at drawing the buff Goku Super Saiyan with the spiky hair. But I'm not. Yeah. I never got really good at drawing the girl characters. I got okay, and maybe if I can find an old picture, I'll put it up in the editing or something so people can see it. It's all black and white stuff. I never really did. I did more manga style than anime style. Yeah. But I think that's funny because I follow the same kind of path, because I just wanted to draw Dragon Ball characters. So yeah, I think that's it's pretty funny.
I think it's actually quite a hard switch going from the drawing muscly men, gruff, many lines and stuff, to women, which are generally, if we look at anime, less lines, but the line curves really matter, and screwing it up throws everything off. It was a hard switch. I remember when it happened too. There was a store back to a local game store in Wellington. There was a dude who used to work there. I just remember now, in another little interview I did with Ian, I totally said the wrong that person's name wrong, which is terrible. But there's a person who worked there. His name was, I gotta get it right this time, Derek, who had this photo of anime drawings, anime girls, and people would just crowd around him all the time, be like, "Show us your artwork," and he'd open the book and all these little sketches there. And I think that was one of the eye openers for me as a kid. I'm like, like again, as someone traveling, like who moved around a lot and wanted to be like accepted, I was like, this is like I want to be like I want people to see my art like this, and I started doing that kind of stuff, and I'll show people at the store, and they'll be like, oh, this one obviously you copied because the eyes look good, and this is your own because it sucks, and blah blah. Like so it helped me. Yeah, those guys helped me like push towards it.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to the moving around a lot stuff. I moved around a lot, not between different countries, but I lived in like, I think my brother and I like counted, and we lived like in 20 or 30 different houses because my dad was in the military, and then he worked at Intel after the military. He was a rocket scientist in the military, and then he worked at Intel doing like computer chips, and so we just moved around a lot because of his job, and so. I totally understand the like wanting to fit in kind of thing, and I got good. That's actually how I became more like extroverted and open, because I was really introverted as a kid, but it kind of like forced me to be more extroverted because I wanted to make friends, and I would have to walk up to people and be like, "Hi guys." Hi.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
And like
I think.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no. I was gonna say I think like. I was saying before, like maybe I'm the annoying, crazy one. I think it's born out of that, of like like I don't know if I'm an introvert who like tries to act extroverted, or if I'm an extrovert like trapped in like an introvert's body. I don't know, like there's some kind of weird
yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, it's okay. I was gonna say for me, I'm there with you. I'm probably something along the lines of like. If I'm fine being like by myself, basically, like if I'm by myself, just doing my own thing, working on my own projects or whatever, I'm like totally fine. But in like social situations, I like really force myself to like be more like outgoing and that kind of stuff. I think
I get that.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier like how card games helped you with that, and that definitely helped me too. Like. Magic was the big one for me growing up. Magic and Pokemon, and I also played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh too. But like that's how I made friends when I moved to new places. I found all the nerds who played Magic and Pokemon, and I was like, hey, I also play these things. Anime was another one too, because there's a lot of the same kind of crossover crowds. Find the kids who like anime stuff too, and then that's those are the groups you can. So. Yeah,
that's right. I remember. I don't know if it's still a thing now, but back when I was going to uni, I guess you guys call it college, right? Like, anime clubs were a big thing. So it's like when you go to a new place, it's like, oh, is there a club here, or like are there people, like-minded people who I'm safe to be nerdy around, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I went to the University of Oregon. I think there were some anime clubs. I actually took some classes on anime. So I have a degree. I technically have a degree in cinema and film. And I don't really, I'll be honest, man, I don't really use it all that much for the YouTube channel because it's really easy just to just point it. I don't have to like worry about like a lot of like editing and mise en scène and all this kind of stuff. But I did take a couple classes that were like anime focused classes, and I thought that was so cool in college. Like I'm taking anime classes in college. But
that's crazy. Well, so when you take anime course in college, like your lecturer, what is their background?
So
that's so interesting.
I think his name, I don't remember his first name. It was Professor Brown, and he's written a lot of stuff about cyberpunk in general, like the genre cyberpunk. So he wrote a book that had to do with like certain anime, like Serial Experiments Lane, Ghost in the Shell, and then a bunch of like other Japanese-centered like cyberpunk stuff, and some stuff like outside of anime too. So he had like a segment on like Blade Runner and that kind of stuff in there. So a lot of the professors, this is a tangent, but tangents are fun. Tangents are fun.
Yes, I love it.
A lot of the professors at the University of Oregon are research professors. So a lot of them are there researching their own thing and writing books, which is one of the reasons I loved going to the University of Oregon, because the professors are like super passionate about what they're into, what they're teaching. But it's also funny because they also recommend their books. Like you have to buy their books for the classes. And for the anime ones, I don't have it in here, but it's in one of the other rooms in a bookshelf. I kept a lot of those books by them. So but I think they were mostly doing like theory and history and that kind of stuff, rather than like the art side of thing. Because I was before I went into film, my major was history. I was going to be a history major.
That's so cool.
And so for my film part, a lot of it is actually like film history and that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Wait, when you say, so I don't mean to switch the interview, but like, when you say the history thing, cool. Like, is that in a specific area, or is it like I guess what kind of history is it?
So for me, I wanted to eventually be a history teacher for high school here. That's kind of what my idea was, like my career path that I was trying to go towards. Things changed, and but anyway, I liked world history and like medieval history. I took a lot of stuff on like medieval Japanese history, but also like medieval European history. And for a lot of high schools here, I mean, I don't know these days. It's been forever since I've been in high school. Yeah, it's been like 20 years. But they used to have like you'd have like your American history classes, but you'd also have like your world history classes. And then that's what I would want to be. I want to be like a world history teacher, to talk about that kind of stuff. But I think it's all very, very fascinating. There's some things. Really cool. There's some parts of history that I really think are very cool. And this is getting back into some nerdy stuff, but like I love how so many different cultures have like a dragon myth. Like so many different cultures across all over the world have like dragon myths, which is crazy. Like even in like South America, there's like dragon-like myths, and in China and like everywhere. I find that super interesting.
Do you have a theory or like I
have a small theory. This is like my 20-year-old theory or whatever, but I suspect it has to do a lot with people finding dinosaur bones and stuff, and then trying to rationalize it, like, oh, they must have been this thing or something like that.
That makes sense.
But I mean, it could be a lot deeper than that. But yeah,
it's funny how a lot of it has like lots of dragons have this certain like similar qualities too, though, right? Like flying, like being a thing. Oh, is that like just a kind of like a powerful godly feature to have? People just fly out. I don't know. Interesting though. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. So yeah.
On that note of like your professors and stuff, I think because I was saying like I was teaching for 5 years, like that crowd, the teachers, some of my favorite people. Seriously, like we're friends outside of work. We still keep in contact and stuff. But because they are so passionate about what they do, like they're not just there to teach, and I feel like that's like what makes it good.
I actually really enjoyed college. Maybe it's just because I had good professors, but sometimes you'd get like, you take the low-level classes, and the low-level classes will have like student teachers, and you could tell they're like not really into it. They're just doing it to get through it. And then you would have your classes with the professors, and they're like really into it. And those are the really interesting ones. I'm actually once again friends on Facebook with a couple of my college professors, because we got along really well. So I really enjoyed college.
I think students can smell it too when someone is like not really like they're not there for the long run, or they're not passionate about it. Someone there maybe like for an art teacher, it can be the case where they maybe couldn't find work, so which is like the stereotype. And it doesn't mean that if they couldn't find work and so a teacher means they're bad, but if they really are, if they hit somewhere else, but they're really trying to get out of there, you feel it and it feels bad, like And if you're ever teaching alongside them too, it's like it's not cool. Anyways.
I think that's true I think it's true for a lot of stuff too. If you're out there like presenting yourself, like even on like YouTube, for example, people can tell like if you're just kind of like phoning it in, if you're not like super into it, or if you're just doing it for the views or whatever. And then you can tell people who are like really into this stuff, who like it, like regardless of whether it's going to be just big or popular or whatever. I think you can tell.
I think actually, to bring it back to the card art, that's one thing I feel like I see in the FAB stuff. Like this is my own, I guess and judgment, is that it pulling like many artists who maybe are not so famous, like a mixture of famous and not so famous ones. Those many of them who maybe aren't big time or whatever, you can see like the passion come through a lot in the pieces. Like so something I talked a lot about with to connect it to the school now with another lecturer, the program lead actually, whose name is Jordan Brown as well.
Oh,
But but so we together like taught a little a media studies type class where there was a bit of art history, and something we always discussed was how it feels like lots of artwork today, like if you jump on ArtStation or any like more like I guess art-centric place that has lots of professionals, you find that lots of the art, I think, or maybe I share this thought with him, is kind of pop in a way, as in they're made to have a really good first impression, but there might not be much of a secondary, like a second narrative or minor details, but not to their fault. It's because many people aren't looking for it either. I feel like many people aren't spending lots of time looking at a piece of artwork to notice certain things, and so artists as a result don't do those things either. You don't like maybe spend a whole week or more thinking of the little story and the little elements and then change little details, like research certain cultural things and add them in. But for a card game, for something like FAB, that can exist because people actually, people collect them, you look at the cards, and I think that's so beautiful when you have those things, which say something. And many I think really well-established artists might not spend as much time doing that kind of stuff, going that little extra mile because they have maybe a full schedule and stuff, and rightly so because they're amazing, But you have, it's really beautiful that way, I think.
That's super interesting. I find that super interesting. So like, once again, I'll talk about college a little bit, but I took a couple art classes in college. Not a lot. I don't know a lot. I don't remember a lot. There are art history classes, and we're talking about like one of them was about classics, like David and that kind of stuff, and then some of them were like some like more modern ones. But it's very interesting you say that, because that's totally true, right? Because a lot of them, I remember learning about them. A lot of those like classic ones, they did tell like a story in them, and there's like a lot of like little like nuances in there, like little things you can see.
Yeah. So many things. Like down to, I always like the go-to obvious ones, like the Last Supper, where like there's the glasses of wine and there's the like potentially milk, for Judas, and all these little things with the fingers pointing out. But because people cared, and also people had the context to understand those pieces at the time. And in something like FAB, where there's it's this one IP, you can do that, which is super cool. So cool to see it happening.
Yeah. I think that is really cool. I haven't thought about that, so. Yeah, that is actually super cool.
Yeah. Hopefully all artwork is like this in the future, where people again, spend time. I don't know. There's just too many artworks out there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot of it. I've been a minor spoilers for my channel, at least. I've been designing, working with an artist to design a new character for the channel that I'm gonna have like on thumbnails and that kind of stuff. And just trying to like find someone to do that, to like work with you. I had to like go through. I spent like 2 days just going through a bunch of artists, and I was like, when I finally decided, I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it. So yeah, that's cool. There's a lot of stuff. It's
it's exciting.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's gonna be like an anime style character, a female character, like the female counterpart to my other character, the Red Zoro character. But she's really cool. I'm really excited to like show her off to everyone when she's done.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, cool. So I was gonna ask you something else, but I forgot. We'll move on to the next one. This is a very small one, but maybe this is something that a lot of other artists out there can maybe like relate to a little bit. Do you have like a specific work method? Like, do you listen to music or podcasts, or like how do you get into like a piece when you like work on something?
It's such a good question, because like in the years I was teaching, I don't think I was asked that question. But like, and I didn't think to like discuss that too. I guess the first thing that I always remind myself is that if I get too excited about whatever's offhand, like the documentary or movie or podcast or music, it distracts me. So I end up actually going to like a brainless mode where I'm just rendering or whatever. But you don't realize until hours later, and you're like, wait a second, I've done like very little that actually matter. But my process, I guess, is I try to do a lot of research first, because I feel like every time I don't spend that time researching, I end up making something that I then later realize, I actually saw something similar, and that's why I'm doing this, because it's like, I'm just pulling from this library that I wasn't aware of. So to actually have to consciously collect that research and not be affected by the subconscious stuff, or the stuff you vaguely remember. And then when I actually work, I find that things that are undistracting is good. I can't do music for some reason. Music always distracts me. Like either I find the music boring, so I spend time switching it, and that wastes time. It takes me out. Yeah. Or I'm too into it. I'm jamming out to the music, and then I'm just not really doing much. So like very I listen to podcasts and stuff. I think and movies I've seen before. Stuff I've seen like that.
When I used to work as a baker, I worked as a baker for a while. I used to listen to podcasts like all the time. I used to listen to Radio Lab, I think is what it was called, because they just talk about like random stuff, and it's like the best podcast just to have going while you're doing other stuff, because it's not like it's interesting, but it's not like so much that my attention has to be only that.
It's kind of beautiful. It's almost like it's like being in an office in a workspace without having to engage, where they're not suddenly going, "What do you think?" Something you're like, "Oh." You're out of the thing. It's cool. I think podcasts. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly though, in terms of my work method. That's what I use to like keep me going. Because without it too, I wander. I start to swivel my chair and then get up and snack or something and walk around.
Super small side question. What kind of music do you like?
It's weird. So I'm really into dance.
Okay.
I do popping. Yeah, and I was a bad teacher, but I organized some busks and stuff here in New Zealand. So I was quite in the community, and I'm one of those guys who now will show up once in a while, and they're like, "Oh, where have you been?" And I'll be like, "I'm gonna start coming again." They're like, "Yeah, in 5 years." And but so I was really into it for a while, and that was another thing that kind of. I guess when I moved to Australia, that was this is it was how I wanted to be accepted, and I was looking for other dances and stuff. So that was one other part of one other hobby of mine. And because of that, I've always been into I guess to say it broadly, hip hop kind of music. And in popping, it originated from it's funk style, so it's funk music. But I don't really actually like that much funk, so I've got this love-hate relationship with funk music. I guess. I've been listening to lots of I don't know if that's the actual term, because I feel out of touch now. I like dream pop kind of music, cigarettes after sex and stuff. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think many artists, it's the epic kind of soundtrack music, but that takes me out of the when it gets too intense, it takes me out of the thing, all this soundtrack stuff.
That makes sense.
I was really into raving for a while, the high school kind of end of high school years, and so it was hard style, hard techno, hard trance, which I now I can't do it. Mostly hip hop. I think that if I'm being really broad, a bit of gangster rap and stuff makes you feel excited, feel good, but also it takes me out.
Nice.
Moving too much.
I'm sorry if that was a tangent, but I thought it was just interesting.
No, I like that. That's cool. Yeah. I'm always not sure how to answer that question, but what kind of music are you into? Actually, just before, I've always wanted to get into rock, but I feel I didn't know anyone into it and stuff, and so I'm always these past years asking people what's rock and what's all the different genres of that, and trying to. Sorry.
This is a rabbit hole here. So I listen to a lot of different kind of music, but I'm not the kind of person who says they listen to everything, because I don't think that's true. When someone says they listen to everything, they don't actually listen to everything. So it's usually a mixture of rock, metal, indie folk music. I do listen to a lot of electronica stuff too. So it's kind of this mixture of them. I also like modern music that sounds like it's from the 80s. That's the best way I can describe it. Modern music that sounds like it's from the 80s is so
I'm really into that.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's this one band, and this is way not my normal kind of stuff that I listen to, but my partner and I went to a concert one year in Oakland, California, and they were just one of the bands that were playing. They're called Capital Cities, and they have their really popular song that's I can't remember what it's called. It's I Can Lift You Up or something like that. I don't remember what it's called. Safe and Sound. It's called Safe and Sound.
Okay.
And I was they're just some this pop group, whatever. I don't really care. And then the dude came out, and they were really, really good. And there was a guy on stage who was playing a trumpet, and then he swapped to a French horn, and I was super impressed. And I was wow, these guys actually really, really are into their music and stuff. And it's it had this weird 80s synth vibe, but modern pop vibes. And I got their album, and the popular song, in my opinion, is like the worst song on the album. All the other ones are like weird and awesome.
Yeah. That's interesting. Capital Cities.
Yeah, they have like a song called like "I Sold My Bed but Not My Radio." Yeah, I don't know. They have some good stuff. They have some really. It's weird.
Yeah.
They have another song called "Origami." I don't know. It's just weird, good stuff.
And it's like a.
Oh, go ahead.
What do they call this? Like the. Oh, sorry. They call it like a new something, right? Like a.
Oh, I'm not sure.
New retro or something.
Go ahead. New way. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. It's something like that.
Yeah, it's like all these 80s stuff and.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
New wave retro, retro wave, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go into phases. So like when I get into something, I really get into something. Like I'm not a casual person. So like if I'm into it, like I'm really into it. I'm
the same way.
I have phases like that with music. So I'll get into like one specific thing and I'll get like super into it. So like, but I always like metal. I'm very picky about metal because metal is a genre where there's like a ton of different subgenres in it. So like someone can say metal but mean something completely different than someone else.
Yeah.
So there's
it confuses the crap out of me.
Yeah. So there's like some metal like a band called like Nightwish where you have a female singer and there's like operatic vocals. It's very pretty vocals, but there's like a good rhythm to it. Most of the songs tell stories. But then there's like death metal, which sounds way different, which with like these deep guttural growls and that kind of stuff. And then there's kind of like a mix between that, which is like melodic death metal, which has like the really good melodic like music in the background, but they still have a lot of the growling stuff. Not always. Sometimes they mix it. So there's a lot like there's a huge range, and there's a bunch of like tons of stuff in between.
Right.
So it's very interesting. I for a while in high school, kind of what you said earlier a little bit. I kind of got out of the nerdier stuff and went into what you'd consider like the cooler stuff for a while.
Yeah.
And so I was in a band and I played guitar in the band and I did that for a while. And we mostly played like punk, because punk's easy to play. I'll be completely honest, punk's easy. And then like more technical metal stuff is what I would like try to do. But yeah.
What confuses me is you mentioned like death metal. I've asked this so many times. Death metal, black metal.
Oh yeah.
Different?
Yeah, they are different. Mostly it's about tone, but there are some musical differences.
Right.
Yeah. So like there is a difference. It's pretty close. So like unless you're like super into it, you might not be able to tell like the differences. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's me. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Back to like the art stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny because they connect like for me, I was saying that it was that emulator, that game Beat Mania, which is that old game where you press buttons and there's a little scratch table.
Yeah.
Which is translated to the computer. Yeah, and so it was a song, like, because it was a song that we played that had like visuals as you played it, the Evangelion visuals, which got me into it. But it was that cool Angel Thesis song, it's like, and back in the day, that local game store would have a TV there, and the same dude who would draw these pictures, he had a what do you call it now? A VHS tape.
Oh yeah.
Where he had downloaded and then recorded onto it anime music videos.
Oh yeah.
And this was before like YouTube, so like we would it was the most amazing thing ever. We would sit there and just watch the TV when it played of like Enter Sandman or whatever, what was popular at the time, that kind of stuff with or was always popular with the anime, and we're just like, this is the greatest thing ever, which doesn't seem to be huge to me anymore, like huge now with YouTube and it's everywhere maybe, but it was mind-blowing. I remember like always begging him for a copy of the tape or being able to borrow it and record it. Yeah. Madness.
I do remember them being pretty popular at one point on YouTube, like the AMVs, the anime music videos. Yeah. Where you can see like Linkin Park mixed with whatever anime. Yeah. I was there for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Really like emo songs with the sad anime. Yeah.
Actually, you're right, because when Naruto was big in, at least over here, the YouTube was out and there was many like anime music videos. Yeah, they were still on. Yeah, you're right. That's crazy.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Cool.
This is one that I know you want to talk about actually. So what advice do you have for artists or people looking to get into the art industry, maybe both like professionally as like a career, or maybe even a little bit lower, like one step lower than that too? Like what do you recommend for people who want to get into this? And
Yeah. This topic excites me so much. Like that's what I was like kind of bringing up before. I guess you might have realized, and everyone will realize too, I'm really bad at like at summarizing at the start. So I kind of go all over the place, and I'm so used to long form, like in a classroom where I just go over bits here and there. So I hope it makes sense, and just tell me if I'm going off the track.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. But I think for people wanting to get into art as a hobby or as a professional, like just who are just learning, trying to, I guess, maybe find your place, maybe like you're not sure if you can do art. I feel like the issues I face, like when I was trying to learn to paint when I was starting, was I couldn't find the resources. I was trying to find it on the internet, but I couldn't find it, and I was a little bit, I think, a little too proud, too egotistical, and also lazy to go to enough meetups and stuff, and or look for classes. But it's a different case now. I think if you go online, instead you're bombarded with so many things, and often they have different advice. They conflict and stuff. And I think at the core of it, it's the reason there's an issue there, or the issue nowadays, is you only have a certain amount of time, and you can't be like absorbing all of it and practice all those things at the one time, because you just kind of wander aimlessly. And I think lots of people's advice on how to work on stuff is more or less how you choose to sacrifice your time. And I think that's what it is. I think it's time, putting time into it to get good, right? So for me at least, just anecdotally, I need to get really motivated, passionate. Otherwise it's hard for me to get obsessed into it. And I think that obsession is needed to sacrifice to get good at art. So I feel like you kind of need to know what you are truly into, what you're geeky about first. And so it's almost like if you note down these things, it's introspectively as good before you even start. Like what your passions are, what you want to geek out about, and then properly geek out about them to know the crap out of those things. And then when you start doing looking for art resources and start doing those things, start actually practicing, have it channeled to those one areas rather than kind of spread out thin and then be lose passion when you realize you're not progressing quickly, like you're not seeing good results. But I think that's the when you're entering. So I think when you do start, there's some common things that everyone will point you to, like anatomy, practice painting studies and stuff. I think you got to do a bit of all of that. But again, I think you have to pick one lane. So I'm still all over the place right now. But I guess what I'm saying is define what you're really into, and be truthful about it. And this, that's what you like to do when you're alone at home and practicing and stuff, and then it's, I think, finding the right resource to push that one area. I kind of got lost.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay.
I find that thing. I'm just trying to think back from just when you're starting out kind of thing. And then I think it's realizing what you're wanting to get out of it. So people confuse concept art for illustration. I think because maybe less so now, but oftentimes I hear people say they want to be concept artists because they think that involves painting, or when they go to ArtStation, it's like, oh, lots of the people work, you see the profile and they have amazing paintings and they say it's concept artists for this and this company. But lots of those works are the illustrations and not actual concept art. Concept art being actually more sketchy, more idea based, and maybe you don't even finish a piece before you send it off, because that's all you needed, the idea. But for concept design, if you want to be a concept artist, or painter and whatever, illustrator, there's this base set of skills you need first to be able to get this stuff on the page, right? My advice is actually once you have those things down, find a group online or locally. For me, it's much easier online. I think maybe many artists feel the same way because maybe we're introverted, or maybe it's a drag having to go outside every day to draw the same thing that everyone else wanted to draw. Maybe I want to draw, I don't know, dragons or something else, whatever. And you can find that group online. But I think find that group, and then I really think if you want to be an illustrator, learn how to render, learn form and light, and do painting studies. A lot of them, As in, look for paintings you like and look for photos as well, or real life around you if this not as relevant, and then try to one for one paint them. But track the amount of time you spend. Actually think about, like let's say I want to paint warriors who wear like shiny armor. So I'm gonna study metals, and then when I study them, I'm not just gonna do whatever it takes to copy it across. I'm going to try to figure out what's the best method. So for me, maybe going from dark to light works for that metal, and maybe I find that going light to dark works for skin, and applying certain colors to this. But that's like what a study is, right? So I know I'm being very general and broad here, but like doing those painting studies, I think, is key if you're wanting to have nicely rendered stuff, as understanding materials and light. But then you need anatomy and all that kind of thing. So back in the day, everyone would point to Andrew Loomis, and some other people might say like that's not a good place to start. But I always point to that because that's kind of where I started. Like the old concept art days, it's like everyone said Andrew Loomis. But if you just Google, you'll find good books, and you can find them online too, and buy them, or the PDFs maybe. I don't know. So like I think anatomy, if you want to draw people, painting studies, to learn the materials you want to paint and stuff, and then also like a line of action type of drawing, like a feeling and motion. And I think this is lacking in a lot of artists, because I think lots of artists are so focused on rendering, and that's what is needed in so many pieces that people don't focus on those things. But I feel like those are areas you kind of need to hit. But I think people asking like how do you start often know those things and maybe aren't really like those are already kind of answered, and you can find those online and people talk about them heaps already. I think the true thing is like realizing that you need to sacrifice time and finding out what you need, what for you works, in what you're interested enough into to make that push to sacrifice time. I think that's a very like I'm saying that with privilege of time, like my situation means I have time to spend and stuff. So I mean, it's an easy thing for me to say, but like it requires time, I think.
I agree. Like, and I mean, I don't do art, but I agree. Just in creative endeavors in general, like I agree 100%. Like even when I was working full time management position in retail, trying to do YouTube as well. You just have to make, at least for me personally, I just had to make sacrifices. So, sometimes I just didn't play that new game that I wanted to play. Instead, I was like, I'm going to be working on my channel instead. That's what is more important to me than just playing whatever, new game came out. So, I mean, I agree 100%.
Yeah. And I think that's why like having a bunch of friends who are into the same thing helps, because when your buddies are like, when they're staying up or when they're not playing a certain game and work on it, it'll help you not play that game too, that all your other buddies are playing, like you have a group that you can feel like it motivates you and that gives you competition and whatever. Maybe hassles for you when you're not doing stuff. But I think that's like from a general like level, what I think is what's needed getting into this. I think if people are asking like, if we break down to what you mentioned before, like doing it as a hobby versus doing professionally, I think for the hobby thing, it's just that pursuing it on your own time and defining what you learn. I think it's dangerous to learn a bit of everything and just run all around. I shouldn't say dangerous. I think you see results slower and you might lose passion to go, which I think is the reoccurring theme here. But on the professional level, I think you need to define what you want to do professionally, because if you want to be a concept artist, again, you need those painting skills, which you're going to have to practice anyway. But then your portfolio, which gets you work, is going to be very different, And I think there's this danger of, and I fall to this too, like we as artists, we open ArtStation, we're like, these are the professionals, and you see the trending pages, like all these kick-ass artworks. And every day you see a new bunch, and then if you're not sure about what you want to do and what kind of work you want to do, what you end up creating keeps changing to match what's on the front page every next day. And so you become this like all styles person who like hasn't really got like a clear, distinct style or subject matter and things. And I think that's actually makes it difficult. It can make it quite difficult to get hired for work, like especially when it comes to something like say a card game or a card game where they're looking for contract artists and they want to find maybe like if let's say they need artwork of like a really good someone who draws elves really good. You know, they're not gonna pick someone whose portfolio has one elf. They're gonna look for people first who have like who just do elves. You know, so I think it's really important that way. And if you can find your subject matter, your style, you might miss out on work, but you'll end up getting, I think, more because you'll stand out. You know, and not having to rely on just being the best renderer. But it's that kind of thing. Or if you want to be a concept artist, go into that area.
I thought of a good analogy for this. So like it's like you have a sword, and instead of sharpening the same sword every day to make it really sharp, you sharpen like a bunch of different swords. So you don't have one really, really good one. You have a bunch of them that are kind of like not as good.
Yeah, I think there's a Bruce Lee quote about this, that he doesn't fear the man who knows 1,000 moves or who's practiced 1,000 moves, but the person who's practiced the punch like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's like take it from somewhere else and then like it's his own thing. But yeah, it's so funny because I was so excited to talk about this, but now when I as we get into it, I'm like, I don't really say much besides the simple thing of like be passionate.
I mean that's important though. I mean, like I think that's like in a lot of things that you do, it's really important to just be, passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think so. I guess I can talk about, I can expand on the group thing, because that's what really changed everything for me. So back in the day, not back in, these guys are, heavy hitters, like Bobby Chu. I always confuse with Bobby, like the comedian Bobby Lee. Bobby Chu, amazing artist. Ran a little group and has like this YouTube channel, big on everything, called Chu Stream, and it's a school called Schoolism, where he gets amazing artists on, they interviews them, and they also like they teach courses and stuff. But he had a group before, which
No, it's alright.
It's getting really dry. Sorry.
No, it's alright. I'm actually looking at Bobby Chu while you're doing that.
So he had a group, and I was part of that, and we were doing like challenges and stuff. And then later there was another artist called Dave Raposa, and he had a group. Dave Raposa is the guy who does he did some magic stuff.
I'll get when he mentions these artists, you'll probably see this already. I'll get art and I'll show examples of it like on the screen somewhere.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
While he talks. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so we have like Bobby Chu and then Dave Raposa. So they had these two groups, and I guess I went to one and migrated to the other. As many other people did, and these groups, like what we did in them was simple. Dave or whoever would hold these challenges, say weekly or monthly challenges, and everyone who competed in the old days, it was like forums. So you had to like in your own in the thread post your sketches, your studies, and there was a routine that everyone did. So this routine might help people, but it's just one method, which is you sketch stuff you want to do first to meet your challenge, which is really to meet the brief, whatever brief you have, right? And then you find references, and then you studies of the references. So, for example, if you want to do, if the brief is a knight character who has, tentacles for arms and wings as well. So now I'm going to have to do photo studies or painting studies of wings and of tentacles and of metal. The kind of metal that I want and then maybe of the lighting that I want. So once I've done these things, now I can go create my final picture. But in the process of getting to that final picture, I've now learned 4 materials. And what it means for an artist like trying to improve is that in the future, if someone asks you to do a knight with wings but no tentacles, you kind of have a little bit of that in your library already, because that's all it takes really for art, is expanding your visual library and your knowledge of how to approach different materials and how they interact and stuff. So over time, when you've done enough of these things, you've become a better artist because you've studied these different materials and different lighting situations, different compositions with a purpose. So it goes back to that thing where that's where the challenges can become less effective, because it can be scattershot if the person, whoever's making challenges, makes it really different. But for yourself, if you are motivated to like create a project, I want to do all angels, let's say, and I keep practicing wings, different kinds of feathers and stuff. Eventually, you become amazing in this area, and I think that's the way to improve. And it goes back to like streamlining your I guess your learning. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think that makes sense. let's see. I do have more questions. There's something that you've already mentioned this, or you might have already mentioned this before. But like, what did you teach? I want to ask you about like what you taught, and then like kind of like what your current role is at Legend Story Studios. I know there's two separate things, but those are the two things that I kind of want to.
Yeah. So the course I taught in, I'd like to say, is one of the best media art schools in New Zealand. And so the course is a game course, and I guess inside it I taught mostly 2D stuff, like 2D painting, at a more general like entry level. So that means like painting things like I guess going back to what I was saying, like the bare necessities, like learning how to paint first, learning how to do photo studies, like how to even do those things, and then setting up and doing that. I taught a bit of game studies, so like a bit of video game history and media studies, like stuff. Going a bit into art history too. My thing was always trying to merge art stuff into it, like a bit of like practical painting kind of thing. So we would look at, not that I'm it's not fully my area, but we would dabble in this to give our artworks more context and stuff. Like when we look at like classic paintings and stuff, and then try to recreate it and try to learn how they did certain things. It's like, transferring those over. And then it was the more I guess work-related stuff. So like I taught portfolio course where I would help everyone work on their 1 or 2 final pieces for your folio, and I oversaw the final gear game projects too. And my angle was where some teachers would guide them in terms of how to manage their time and stuff. We all did a bit of that, but my focus was really about the art side, like how to improve on the concepts and that kind of thing. And so from that and doing lots of the fab art stuff on the side, eventually I got to talking with those guys, and I joined them as a concept artist. So primarily what I do there is, I guess, at its core, concept art, so designing, visualizing ideas and stuff. I also take on some of the feedback roles, so I'll give feedback to artists and their card art and stuff, to like kind of guide it along to our vision or whatever. And then I guess that's mainly it. Feedback, aiding, that kind of stuff. And I guess I'm new there. It's only been about 2 months and a bit.
Okay.
So I'm also like I guess trying my hand out at different things, trying to get a feel for everything, and I'm not too sure where like what my responsibilities will, I guess how it might shift or what I might take on and stuff. But it's quite new to me and really exciting, all up in the air. But mainly I do concept art, I think, and feedback.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you like, this is, I guess, a personal question. You don't have to answer this if you want to. Just how do you like working with Legend Story Studios so far? Everyone that I've talked to from the company, everyone from like Sasha to Alan, everyone I've talked to have been super nice people. So I'm just curious how it is like actually like working with them.
I think if I were to describe it really simply in a few words, everyone's super passionate, everyone's really nice, and everyone works really hard. So I think you can see this even like I remember that famous one of the videos of James on YouTube, like the top comment was like, give that man some sleep, I think everyone's super passionate. It's really amazing to see how much everyone cares about like the product, and it's funny because as a when I was first doing the card art and not knowing them, like the thing I was mentioning about with Dash and like people jumping and stuff, I even felt like some of it's like, whoa, it's like the passion is like at a, like almost cheesy, like it's like it's like almost like over the top, and then you see like, oh, this is like this, they really are so into this, everyone like kind of like they're just so in love with trying to bring this to life. But those are the things. Everyone works really hard, really passionate, and that's really good. I feel like there's that nice sense of like nerdy camaraderie, I feel like it's again another one of these communities of like nerds, and it's crazy to me to see like you mentioned like Sasha and stuff, so many of these people who are like amazing, like professional players and stuff, like it's so cool to just be around, like I guess like feeling like you're around like champions, feels good.
I think a lot of that passion comes through to even people who don't know much about it. I think that's one of the reasons why the game is so successful, is because like it's like pretty clear like when you see it, you know that it's made by people who just love what they're doing, and it's not like it doesn't feel cynical like some other things might feel cynical. Like it doesn't feel like it's just for like to get as much money as possible or whatever. They're building something that they love rather than just trying to squeeze all the money, you know.
I think that's really the case. It's really good, and I think also, I reckon everyone started with that in mind, you know. So it's like they already knew this is the goal, and they're not being enamored by, you know, whatever success comes and, you know, how the game grows, which is, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think it's awesome. Cool. I don't know how much time you have left. I have like 2 or 3 more questions. They're pretty well. One of them might be a little bit more involved, but 2 of them are pretty short. So we'll go into one of the short ones. These are some of the questions that people asked either on Facebook or my community Discord, and I think I know the answer to this one, but I'll ask it anyway. Do you do signed cards or prints or anything like that? Because that's one of the first things that people ask, like, oh, does Sam do prints, or does he want to do them, or anything? Yeah.
So I sign. Oh, you're saying stuff besides the cards, like sign?
Both. People asked about signed cards, and they asked about art prints. Yeah.
Yeah. So signed cards, yes, I do. I actually have one person that it's like, I guess it's unofficial, but I treat it as official. My guy in the US. He's quite active on Facebook. Daniel Henry. Henry. That's the name. I don't want to get the last name wrong. Daniel Henry. Amazing dude. Again, it speaks to the community. Like, so many amazing people. People have reached out about signings and stuff. It's all like really like really nice and it's beautiful. But so he's been helping me sort out stuff. So if anyone wants that kind of thing, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. Maybe if you drop me a message, I'll maybe refer you back to him if you're like in the States and stuff. And if not, you can contact him too. But yeah, he's kind of my contact outside. And if you're in New Zealand, come and find me. And I'm trying to limit my signings as well. So like the one thing is, even with Daniel, I'm trying to know who each person is and stuff. Like I want it to be, I guess I like that personal level where if it's in New Zealand as well, like I want to meet you or know who you are if I'm signing for you, not just like sign up en masse and just like give them out, you know.
Yeah.
I think this makes it nice for people who actually want the signature too. Yeah, I try to do that. But yeah, so I do them. In terms of prints, I'm really glad you asked that because I'm so slow. I've been planning to make prints for like over half a year or something.
Nice.
But I want them to be good. And my biggest struggle right now is logistics, actually, like printing them and then sending them to, because I want to go through a system where I can personally sign them and, you know, make any markings I want and stuff and make it personal.
That's super cool.
Because I also want to do like limited runs. But yeah, so that's in the works. Actually, if I talk about prints, I got this in the corner here.
Ooh.
Another artist, which was mentioned in your comments. So this was bought by, I'm totally not forced to say this, the most handsomest, most beautifulest credit director in the world. I'm Director Robbie. So he bought a bunch from Federico, and then he gifted me one of them. But it says here 1 out of 20, which is really beautiful. I think so it's one of his pieces.
Yeah.
But I guess something to notice was, I actually bought a frame because I wanted to check it out before this interview. But my frame is like, I guess New Zealand or like European sizes, and it's different. So it's just like slightly big off the top, and I'm still scared to trim it. But yeah, so just to shout out, like Federico, amazing art, one of the amazing artists. But I want to this is personally signed, and so like I want to do that too, and I want to find a way to make it really proper and like I guess personal. But I want to do them. So I'm at the conventions every year, like at the pop culture convention every year in New Zealand, in Auckland, and so hopefully this October is when I'll have some.
Ooh. So that just made me think of something. Would you ever consider going to any of the bigger Flesh and Blood events in like the States or worldwide once, you know, COVID dies down and you're able to? Would you consider going to any of the bigger events like callings or anything like that?
Yeah, I'd be super keen to. Yeah, I guess I'm hoping like the company maybe even brings us over. It should be super cool.
That would be awesome.
But yeah, if there's awesome. If there's enough of a it'll be awesome. And like if I do that, my goal will be to bring, some of the other artists too, like I mentioned, like MJ, and the ones like I've been working closely with, like MJ and this other artist Kat as well, like amazing artist Kathleen. I'll share these things with you so you can pull their stuff if you want, and like we can they can hate on me later.
Maybe I'll try to pester Channel Fireball and be like, yo, you should have because I know they used to do this for Magic when they had the Grand Prix. That have like an artist alley where there's just a bunch of artists and you can like go and like cool. buy stuff and get stuff signed, and I would love that.
Yeah,
that would be so
great.
So cool. Yeah, that's one of the things I like to hope for most for the calling in the future. I want like artists and all that kind of stuff there.
Yeah. I mean, actually, on that note, it's so cool that you're like so into the art and you're doing these like that we're talking right now, and that you have those videos about how to support the artists. That's super cool. It's really
I love the art. I think that art and aesthetics for a lot of things, but especially for card games, are super important. Because that's like the first thing that you see, and that's going to be your first impression. If someone doesn't know anything about the game, they're going to look at the art first, and if it looks awesome, and it does, like Flesh and Blood art is fantastic, then it's really going to like get people into it. And I know me as a kid, that's how I got into card games at all. Is one of my friend's older brothers gave me like Magic cards. This is like 1995. This is a long time ago. But he gave me some Magic cards, and I don't know how to play, but I loved the art that he gave me, and I would just stare at it, and I would try to draw the pictures. I remember all of the artists' names because I loved it so much. There's like Melissa Benson and Anson Maddox. I just remember these names because I loved the art so much. And so I feel, at least for Flesh and Blood right now, and hopefully this changes in the future, but like Magic artists get a lot of like praise and stuff, but I feel Flesh and Blood artists deserve that too. I think they deserve a lot more attention than they get. Because it's good. So
that was actually, so it actually shocked me when it was when Crucible came out. Because I lurk on the Discord community for FAB, and that's when I feel like around time I started getting messages about like the kata and stuff. Like it's just people. I guess I was outside of this whole thing for quite a long time, and getting brought back in and realizing that people care about the art and stuff. It's really nice. Yeah, really really cool.
So then I guess we'll jump off on that a little bit. What way do you think that we as like fans could best support artists working in the field right now? Like what, like prints, or like what way do you think we can best support like working artists right now?
I think I guess from what I feel about it, as an artist, getting contacted and stuff, I think like it can be this like weird little, what was the term, like a vacuum you work in as an artist, where you're just always at home working this thing. And like for me, when I mentioned like when Crucible was like was spoiler season for Crucible, the crazy part was only then I started realizing how big this was starting to get, and like because I was starting to get feedback and like stuff like that. And I feel like some artists may not realize, you hit them out and they're like, then they start to see this is really something. They might not play the game, or people around them where they live might not play the game and stuff. But I think in terms of supporting artists, especially if we're talking about like card artists, I remember you, in one of your videos, you showed one of my favorite artists from who does card art for us, Daria.
Oh, I love. She's like one of my favorite artists, like easily.
So good.
Yeah. I love. She's another one of the artists who you can definitely tell it's her piece. Yeah. Like it's
so good.
Yeah,
and the pieces you can see like the love inside it, so much. But her, for example, like many artists who are really great, and back to the ArtStation kind of thing, but maybe don't do what is the mainstream kind of subject matter, or don't have certain titles, like they're not affiliated with, say, Riot Games or something that's really huge. Might not get the love, might not get that much love, but are like hidden gems. Like, and I think Daria is one of those people. Like, if you go to ArtStation, she hasn't got like a crazy amount of followers and stuff, but her artists easily, I think, like should be on the front page every time, So I think just sharing their work on like different platforms and stuff is super helpful. Even dropping them, I think like artists don't get like if you reach out to an artist, I think you'll find that they're more excited than you might think. Like they might be busy and not replying. I'm so bad at replying, but it's really beautiful. Like for them, it maybe like helps them keep going and stuff. And I think that's nice. I also think like those artists as they're doing the FAB stuff are gonna, like kind of start to explode as the game grows too.
Yeah,
but yeah, I
hope
think
so.
in this current day, it's sharing stuff, which feels like even as artists feels bad sometimes because it feels so like commercially minded and like but I think it's a game now. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, all the listeners, watchers out there, if you see art that you really like from Flesh and Blood or whatever, just like share it to like your friends on Facebook or whatever. I think what would really help too, and this is what I try to do, is like you should also like if they have one, like tag the artist too. So like if you share it on like Twitter or whatever, you should like tag them so people can like go to their thing and follow them and that kind of stuff. I think that's
I think so. I think the tagging thing is really big, because then they can repost it and stuff. Like, and artists may be like afraid to, or they don't want to, like shove their work in people's faces, and that gives them a chance to, like it's an easy in, to doing that.
Yeah, I think the idea you had with that print, the limited sign prints, I think that's super cool. And I think a lot of people are really gonna love that. I know I would be interested, and I know not a lot of I think there's maybe a couple, but not a lot of Flesh and Blood artists do that. And anytime any of my other favorite artists outside of Flesh and Blood, so one of my favorite artists that I know a lot of people will know outside of Flesh and Blood because he does work for Magic is Seb McKinnon, because he has a very macabre art style and I really like it. And anytime he does a Kickstarter, I always order prints on the Kickstarter because they're limited prints that he always signs. And you can get a certificate of authenticity and all this stuff. So anytime he does it, I always get a couple that I really like that we put up in another game room that we have. So I think you doing that would be
That's really cool.
Would be super cool.
Yeah. Well, I saw you bring up an artist, or maybe it was just on your wall previously, that had a little. It looks like the print or the piece has a wax seal on it.
Oh.
Have you got a piece like that? Yeah.
Yes.
So I've been talking about this. Okay.
I'll tell you what that is real quick. That one is a Seb McKinnon piece. It was a limited one though for his production studio because he does film and stuff, and it's because the film in question was a really small indie film called The Whale. They didn't have enough funding. They had a big catastrophe. A lot of their stuff was destroyed, and they were just like, "Hey, we need help." And I was like, for me, that speaks to me personally as both someone who's really into film and someone who's really just into art. And so I was happy to support. And then Seb was like, hey, if anyone supports over this number, we'll give them an exclusive art print. It'll have this wax seal if you want it. You don't have to if you don't want it. And we'll have the entire cast and crew of the film, including the artist, sign it. And I was like, that's super cool. And I support it. So that's what that is. That's what that is.
That's super cool. Because that's the kind of thing I've been talking to artists locally about doing this kind of thing. Because that person I mentioned, Bobby Chu, I believe his prints, or his older prints, when I used to follow more closely, he stamps them. Those little embossers.
Oh,
so there's little, and so I'm trying to work that kind of stuff out because I want to have my prints have some of those things. So I'm trying to see what there is I can do and what works in terms of then shipping it and stuff, will the seal break or I don't know.
Yeah. I don't remember how that one got shipped. I think it was rolled up, and so the wax was a little bent, but I was able to get it flattened out when I framed it. Okay. So it turned out. It's because it also had a little I think it had a little bit that pointed down a little bit, and so that bit curled up a little. But
the little drippy kind of thing. Yeah, because I'm just learning that there's soft waxes that are more flexible as well. But yeah.
You probably want to go with the more flexible one just in case so it doesn't crack or something.
Yeah, the rolling. Actually, on that note, because you asked about supporting artists, and sorry, my headspace with that is always about how to get them seen more. But yeah, the prints and stuff, I guess, is the obvious way. But so there's the two sides, because I think if you can get them more their stuff shared more and their follower base growing, it's not just for them to it's not just the likes kind of thing, but for an artist that's maybe getting seen by other potential people who commission them and stuff like that, and it's getting more work, and then from that work it growing and then being able to sell prints, But yeah, there's a really beautiful thing in FAB, the niche community, not niche, but the specific community that will support it and stuff. But on a larger on a more general level, getting there more eyeballs is just gonna snowball more work and then more eyes, and then be able to sell more prints to more people.
So after you said that, it made me think of something. How do you feel about like, do you do commissions or anything like that, or how do you feel about like commissions and that kind of stuff?
Oh yes,
because I know at least in the content creator community, myself and some of the other ones, I know a lot of us want to get like commissions done so we can get like play mats and all that kind of stuff. You see that a lot. And one of the first things my channel artist, she's a local friend. She's really nice. I was commissioning her to do like a playmat, and I told my like my Discord community, I told them like, oh, I want to get like maybe a Flesh and Blood artist. I know it's going to be expensive, but I want to get a Flesh and Blood artist to do like maybe a commission. And the first one they said is, you should get Sam Yang. I'm not even joking. That's the first one. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll ask him. I don't even know if he does that kind of stuff. He's probably busy doing like your other stuff. But I'm just curious what you think about it, just in general, and like what you. Yeah.
So about commissions, I take on commissions now and then, but I generally just say no right off. Like generally I just say that I'm usually too busy, but it's because it's a weird one. Like my goal this year was actually to do more living and a bit less like staying up late to do art, which is this weird thing because I'm constantly fighting that because I'm wanting to make stuff as well. But for commissions, like anything outside of my personal work and like say like contract, like FABs kind of stuff, I really just gauge it by, do I want to, like, does the piece interest me? So like I've got lined up, I'm doing a little thing for but two buddies of mine. I've suddenly forgotten the names, Kiki and Reese, amazing part of the community. But I'm going to be doing a little thing for them. It's just tiny stuff. But I had promised someone else that I was going to do artwork for a playmat for them. Yeah, like I guess it would be FAB fan art, you know, like personal commission work. And then I had them wait a couple months, and then I had to cancel on, which is the worst feeling. And I've promised them that if I do any playmat in the near future, I would contact them and do their one first, you know, go back to. But it's just that kind of thing where I'm trying to, I guess, juggle stuff. And so I want to do them, but it's just, my general thing is no for now. But if people want stuff, just hit me up. And I'm keen to discuss anything, that kind of stuff with you later. And for personal, I just try to make it something I really want to do, and then, make it more like about just, if it's an interest-based thing and not like a money thing too. Because I also don't want to charge people, an arm and a leg for something like at maybe like more industry prices, like for commercial pieces and stuff. When it's maybe a passion thing for that project. Yeah,
I mean, that's understandable. I know some other content creators. I don't know if they've announced it yet, so I can't really say. But I know some other people have art commissioned by some other like bigger named Flesh and Blood artists who are going to be doing some stuff. And I've seen like the sketch work, and it looks really good. But I also know like how much is like going into it, and I know it's like it's it's a little bit. Let's just say that. Let's just say that's a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's one really nice thing about people contacting from the community, because they have a they expect the price to maybe be a certain amount, or they're not shocked when it's high. I have discussion like when I do those conventions. Oftentimes, the more general public might say, "Hey, how much for you to like paint a pin-up on my boat or something?" And then when you name like a even lower price, they're like, "I thought you loved," you get this huge reaction there. Like now for those people I just always overquote, and it's like make it over like true madness. But yeah, I mean, on that note too, if because people I get messages once in a while about signing stuff or some little commission stuff here and there. I see them, but I don't always reply, so please don't take it as a slight if I'm not hitting you back up. I try to, I just might be late, maybe even weeks late, but yeah, I see those messages, and I will get back to you at some point and stuff, Not that I mean, make it sound like I'm getting 100 messages. I'm not, but I'm just always trying to, I guess my goal is to try to not social media too much, like to dial back, which is difficult because as an artist, that's how you kind of I understand. Like,
I'll get a lot of messages, and I'll read them, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll respond to that later, and then I forget, and then I'm just like,
yes,
yeah, and then I come back like a week later, I'm like, oh crap, I'll respond to them now, I guess. So I understand. It's easy, like at least for the size of my channel now, and I talked to I did an interview with Brian from Tellurian Community College, and he was like, he gets so many messages and so many comments that he can't respond to everyone. But my channel, even though I'm growing, I can still respond to everyone right now, but I have to like set aside like a couple hours, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read through everything, and I'll respond to things. I understand it's easy to lose track of stuff. So.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Trying to put stuff aside so you do some like stuff for yourself or for people around you, and then you forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to like have time for yourself. If you like work, and this is something that I'm learning too. Like if you like work for yourself as like an independent, contractor or whatever, working at home, you really need to set time aside for yourself, especially if you're the kind of person who just works a lot and just keeps doing the thing. You need to have like personal time to not do that. It's something I've been thinking about too. I'm like, I should probably give myself some days off, because I haven't done that yet. I've been doing this for like 10 or 20. I've just been every day. I'm like, hey, gotta do the next one.
You're publishing videos like nonstop. It's amazing.
I do I try to do every other day at least, and if I can do more of that, then I'll do more. But it depends on the editing and stuff like that. Some videos require a lot more editing. None of it's like crazy editing though. Like the most editing that I did was on my spoiler card for Monarch, but it's just time consuming. It's just a lot of stuff that's just time consuming. But
I missed that one. What was the card you spoiled?
I spoiled Mutated Mass. I did like a little intro bit that had like this epic music playing with like the bong, and then I did like a voice thing for it. It's really cheesy.
I gotta watch it. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. If people out there haven't watched it, you should watch it. It's not super long. And so you mentioned this earlier too about like other people like seeing what they're doing and seeing they're doing stuff really good, and then getting like the motivation and drive to do better. And that's exactly what happened to me, because my first two spoiler videos, I feel that they're not super great. And I think it was Dead Summer Art and DM Armada had really, really good Crucible of War videos, and I'm like, I know I can do that, so I'm gonna try my best for the next one. If they give me a spoiler card for the next one, I'm gonna try much harder. And so I had to put that video together in like a couple days, because I got the spoiler, because my card was one of the first ones spoiled. And so if they give me another spoiler card for Tales of Aria, I'm gonna really try hard. And honestly, this is the most like the chance that I get to actually use some like film school editing and stuff. I don't know a lot about special effects, but yeah, I think it's fun. The hardest part, honestly, was finding royalty-free music that I could use. That's the hardest. That's the hardest part.
What is the go-to? Is it called Incompetech or something? I forget the guy's name every time.
There's Kevin MacLeod.
That guy. Incompetech. His website, right? Go-to.
I don't remember what I used for this one. I found one that the music was perfect, but I had to pay like a licensing fee, and I'm not gonna, I would do it, but it was like really expensive. So I was like, I'll find one that's free.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, so again, speaking as an artist, and I guess before I joined the team, it really kicks your ass when you do work like for like when you see the set come out and you're like, holy crap, like this, like you see all these amazing ones and you're like, shit, in this one piece you're like, I should have done this thing. Like you start to like look back and you compare and stuff. But yeah, it's always been a big thing for me.
Do you
actually
okay, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was gonna take on this tangent.
Okay, well this is also kind of a tangent, but I guess it's just it could be a little question. How do you like so as a card artist, specifically for cards, is it like better for you? I imagine it is. If the card is good, like if they do a card and it's like a really good card, and you're like, yeah, I got the really sweet card, because like you got Dash, and Dash is a really good hero, and some of the other cards you did are super good too, like Remorseless is super good in Ranger, and I think it's going to get even better later. But yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it feels good. Like I guess as you're hoping, like, because it's a funny thing. Like Dash being a hero really like was it really like pushed me into the zone of like how like I guess realizing what I could do with the company and like because I mean. It's very nice. You're hoping to get like to get these heavy hitters and like these star pieces.
You can't see it. I have too much light, but I have a poster with Dash on it behind me. It's too much lighting right here. But I have a. It's like one of the Armory posters that they have because I have a Viserai one. So I have Viserai, I have Dash, and then over there I have some other ones that a guy from a local store gave them to me.
Right.
But yeah, I have a Dash one.
I gotta sort you some. I'll sort you some stuff out, like signed things and stuff. I'll send it your way.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Armory things are perfect for signing on the little box.
Yeah. And the ones that he gave me are just kind of like empty ones because he had like a bunch of them because he's one of the stores that like first started carrying Flesh and Blood in our area. So he just has a bunch of like Armory posters and stuff. And so when I went to the Monarch pre-release, he's like, "Here, take these. You can use these for your studio or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I want to fill stuff up like just my wall with things, but I'm too slow and lazy.
I understand about that too because I have you can't see them. There's a couple art prints down here that I need to get framed and need to put up.
Right.
And I have some framed. I just need to put them up on the wall, but I kind of want. So the idea I had for the studio is I wanted to like you walk in and it feel kind of like a game store, kind of like you're just surrounded by cool stuff. That's just kind of the idea. You're just surrounded by cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then art's a big part of it too, because I have my bookcases here, but I wanted like art to just be all over too. But I'm too lazy. Cool. I need to put it up.
Yeah. Well, it looks really good already. Like I was saying to you earlier, like I thought this was like shot in a store or something.
Oh, thank you.
It looks excellent. Yeah. So I've been doing that. On that note, I keep going to secondhand stores and buying like frames. Thinking like, oh, this is gonna look good on the wall. So I got like a collection of all this like stuff in the other room, and my wife's always just like, we gotta get rid of these. Like they just sit there doing nothing because I haven't found the prints to put in. They just It's like these.
I'm actually running out of space, and I was like, okay, hey, we actually mentioned. It's funny because we mentioned Daria Klebnikova earlier, and I was like, okay, I'm running out of space in here, but I still have these prints that I really like and I want to go up. And I asked my partner Robin, and I was like, okay, can I put some of these up elsewhere in the house? And she's really picky about that kind of stuff. She's really like picky about decorating and that kind of stuff. And so I convinced her to put the Daria pieces up, like even in our bedroom, because they look so nice. It's the Sunkiss and Moonwish, and then a fan bought me the Eclipse. He bought me a canvas print of Eclipse, and so those are gonna go up in our bedroom whenever we get time to do that.
They look so good. Yeah, Sunkiss and Moonwish, I think I just.
Even this is another thing. Even my mom, like when she saw them, my mom sometimes watches my videos. When she saw those, she thought they were like really pretty. Which that's it's a good compliment to someone from someone who doesn't know anything about any of this stuff really.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, their work is just that. I feel like I personally I'm not a fan of the crystal shop kind of like stereotypical artwork of the moon and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like there's that line you can cross going into that kind of palette and things where it goes into that area. But Daria just does it so well.
It's hard to put it into words. I'm not like an art critic or anything. It just feels like really whimsical, like storybook like almost. Not classic. Well, kind of. I don't know. It's hard to put into words. It just I don't know. It looks great.
I think I get the classic vibe in that it doesn't, even if filters are used and stuff, it doesn't look like the final piece you see is that it feels like they've gone over and painted in all the little brush strokes and made it, which is that level of I think work in it reflects those older we talk about master paintings, classical pieces where they have all the details and you look in the one little area and it's the building has been defined. It's super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Sweet.
I did want to. Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
I do want to rattle off some sort of things. Going back to, I think, the question of like advice for people, because I think when I'm thinking of like advice, I have this scattershot thing of things that I like to say to people in across like class or many classes, which I found helped me on my like journey as an artist. Because I think so. Just to revisit that question, because I feel like I didn't do it entirely justice for those who actually looking maybe for some advice or some ideas. Is it alright if I go on this little tangent?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, cool. Okay, but I think there's certain things because I feel like the general things of how to get better are now very accessible and open to us. Do the studies, do the like anatomy ones, painting studies, photo studies, all that kind of stuff, motion, composition, all the stuff that you'll find in almost any art tutorial or like any video talking about that kind of stuff now. But the things that I think like often make people not go all the way, like if you're looking at this as a career or something, I feel like little things that going back to passion make you lose motivation or make you feel like you're not progressing quickly enough. And so the things that have helped me, I guess on a more preachy, like motivational kind of motivation based level, and the first one that I often try to repeat to like my students back when I was teaching is the first one of the first classes I had in college or in uni. So we had a teacher, McAuley, great teacher, who had like these slides, and it was slides with bullet points for an entire like half hour of like what to do and what not to do. And the one that stood out to me the most was it said, stop trying to be cool. Like, which sounds so silly, but as like a first year, that hit me, and I didn't want to admit it, but I was trying really hard to be cool. And I guess to explain that, I was trying to be accepted by my peers and people around me. So if they liked a certain thing that I was doing, I was going to keep doing that one thing, and I was going to go astray. And like, basically, if a good example was when I was a kid, Dragon Ball Z times, I got really good at drawing upper bodies, but all my characters were genies because I couldn't draw legs. Yeah. And I thought I was being so clever until one of my buddies was like, "You can't draw legs. That's why you draw genies." Like, crap! Like, everyone knows. It's so stupid. But I kind of kept leaning into these areas because I was getting like praise, or I was it helped me. It felt good to not show my weaknesses, so I kept like stifling my progress by focusing on small areas. And that's like not trying to be cool in that one area, not in just a more general sense, but like like be more introspective and realize, be clear if you're trying to hide your weaknesses or trying too hard to cover up and stifle your own progress, which I think is a huge thing, especially for people like starting out. And I think that's why just relying on the ArtStation like front page every day is dangerous, because you're just going to try to match what you see there and be become like styleless or like directionless. I think that's one of the things. The finding a group, I really think that's important. I want to rattle these off because I feel like if you're not doing these things, these are going to help you a lot. I think more than you think, and help you get through the studies. Like, so finding your group, it could even be just one other person, and it's just like hitting them up. I think lots of artists are lonelier than you think, and even if they're not lonely, like when they're working, they are often doing it from like alone in their studio or whatever, and having like-minded, it's great. So they'll probably be receptive. So be nice, be polite or whatever, but try to find your group. I learned this a lot, like when I mentioned Dave Proposer before, that going from Bobby Chu's group to Dave Proposer's group, they have very different personalities. They're in, and it comes through in the podcasts that they did, or the little things, the little videos they made. You'll find yourself gravitating to certain people, certain artists and their styles and what they like more than others, and it's find that's gonna really take you so much further. So I think and it's the don't be cool thing is going back to realizing really what you want to do as well, and not being too affected by wanting to be accepted and whatever insecurities, which is I've always struggled with that kind of thing. Finding your group, it's crazy seeing people because really that if we go back to practicing the same punch or sharpening the one sword, your analogy of sharpening the sword, it means so much when you do it, because even if you're not thinking about it and you're just doing it over and over, you get better. Enough to that point where when you have to apply those in a real setting, like I guess to further analogy, like in actual, like, you know, in actual like fighting situation, or in this case, like to actually create a certain piece, or you get your commission, you can now pull it off because you've practiced those things. Like it's just getting those hours in, and the group helps, I think. So there's those things. People often ask about like brushes and like programs. Like I just use Photoshop. I'm okay sketching on paper, but I'm not good because I'm so reliant on like undos now. But when it comes to brushes and stuff, people love to say that the meme among artists is like, "Oh, what brushes do you use?" You know, which is kind of like the beginner's like thing of wanting to know the secret technique or whatever. But the brushes do matter. So like try out different brushes. Brushes are a shortcut to getting certain works done, and just like everything, you want to know how to do it maybe without, but then use the brushes to speed up. Don't be fooled by that thing and be forced to only use one certain brush that all the cool people use or whatever, you know. So I Photoshop and like give brushes a chance, you know. It's funny because I mentioned Dave Raposa, so like these characters like and the groups have a really big impact, I guess. He famously did this painting. You can search out. If you search Dave Raposa, I don't know, dick painting. He's got a picture, self-portrait of himself, where he's used the shape of a dick to make a brush, and he's used that one brush to paint off. And it looks amazing, the piece, because he's trying to make a point of brush not meaning much, but even in that, there's amazing brushwork. So like, yeah, but like there's that. What other things? Keep getting lost in this. I feel like there's little things I want to mention that I know would be useful. I feel like because I get questions about school, like should I join the course or should I work from home? And I think for the idea of the industry, for people wanting to get that first badge of working in a studio or getting consistent work, like contract work with say Linkada or something, it can feel like there's this little weird club that is very secretive, and that everyone in there is like it's like you know, it's giants, all these amazing people. But no, it's just like every other thing that people they're still trying to figure stuff out in there, you know. But it feels really daunting before that, and if you can just remember that that's not the case, and it's easier now with social media, and you can like actually just talk to artists and they become more human, like the big names and stuff. Schools, like I think, are really useful if you need like that help in managing your time and finding your group, because the biggest thing from the school was like me finding my group there and finding the person or people I wanted, like I became my competition and my peers, you know. And I think lots of people who are younger, maybe less experienced in like the workforce or time management stuff, it's really useful for them. But if you can manage your time and stuff and you can find your groups, you can do it solo as well. Like I mean, do it from your home and do it without school. On the school thing, it's so weird because like having taught, I do feel that lots of students are not ready for school. Yeah. As in like I almost want to tell many students, hey, you like, and if they ask me, I would openly say like, yeah, I know many of the lecturers will too, which made I think the school team really good for that. Would tell them if you're not ready and if you want to take a year off, that you should do it. And I think lots of people maybe should go work somewhere first and try something that, you know, like kicks you in the butt a little bit, you know, that kind of stuff. And then when you come back and you really know what you want, it makes the money you're paying for expensive education like more useful, you know, and your time management better too, because otherwise really you could be just paying to just like swivel around in your chair in the classroom if you're not asking the teacher for help, and you know, even trying to hide your work because you didn't do it. It's such a waste of your time and money, you know. Yeah. I
think that's good advice.
I think that's all like comes to mind.
This is general advice. I think most people should work a little bit in both a retail or like food service, just to know how crappy it is. Because like once you work there, you know how like soul sucking it is, and then you can appreciate it when you don't have to do that anymore. Yes.
On that note, like every artist I'd like to say every artist I know who has worked hard, like continued to work, has eventually like work on their stuff has eventually gotten a job or in industry, like the industry stuff they want. Like I think everyone who's put in the time, and that's key here. But I've had friends who it seemed like it was not working for like years, and they were getting really good. Like I was thinking, like their skills like higher than mine, but I can't get them to maybe the studio I'm in or whatever. And all of them now eventually they get work. I mean, now with the internet stuff, you can you can get your stuff seen and stuff if you put your time to it. So I feel most people actually fall out of this because they lose motivation, or they get dissuaded before they reach that point. Even if their skills are kind of there, which is often sad to see. And I feel like most people will face all these like little failures and like these testing things before you get this. And I'm sure in everything. Like, you studied cinema, like I imagine like that's the entry levels, like even greater with like people who can do that stuff. Huh?
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think sticking to it. Oh no, sorry, I'm just
I agree though. I mean, like I think that's true for a lot of stuff. Like you just gotta stick to it. I mean, it's even true for like YouTube. A lot of people ask me like, how do you start YouTube? You just stick through it. At least on YouTube, when you start out, you're gonna get no views. It's just gonna happen. Like there's like a very small percentage of people who actually explode. Most people just grind it out. You just have to keep at it. That's basically.
Actually, on the note of music, you were talking. Tell me when we're gonna wrap up, because I'm just going on tangents now.
Oh yeah.
Rambling on. But the first in-house job I had, this was during the 2 years before I got the concept art job, was for the studio that did car vehicle ads, ad magazines. So if you wanted to sell to your car, your truck, or your boat, you would call in your phone in and write down the details, and then they would get all published into magazines with the little pictures, right? So my job was a graphic designer there, quote unquote, and my job was like retyping the words that were said on the phone and then putting the picture there, resizing it.
Okay.
And I remember I used to drive home every day from that place listening to one song album by this artist called Lenka. Lenka like does like rom-com type music. Like it's all like it's very like lighthearted and like I guess I don't know what the term is. Yeah, it's very rom-com, like like chirpy, like music. And that was like because I was going through this time of like thinking, like I was just bashing myself all the time, like I'm a failure, I'm not doing what I wanted, blah blah, and like that. I just remember like listening to music on the highway and like stuck in traffic every day after work. But eventually I talked to my boss and like I said, hey, I want to get into a game studio. I want to be a concept artist. So I want to quit and I want to spend a few months just at home working on my stuff, and I'm going to try. And he was like super nice to me and he encouraged me. And then after that, it worked. Like that period afterwards helped me transition over. But I had that moment of hating it so much, hating this thing so much. More so than my retail job before, because I had at that point thought I was like amazing, like my head was big, and then I got checked, reality hit me, and stay in there. Feel free to message me stuff too, like if people want like art advice. The best thing I can do is if you send me a piece and go, hey, can you give me some quick feedback on this? I can. If I have time, just write some stuff. I can't do a paint or anything, but that's the way to go. But yeah, better than sending a whole portfolio.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, a lot to do.
Won't eat up all your time looking over like a bunch of portfolios.
Yeah, and then I won't give some super general thing as well, like of like, hey, do more lighting, like like I can, if I see a piece, or if any artist, send your favorite artist a piece or two.
Nice.
Get feedback.
Cool. So, I guess. Well,
Sorry, I keep going.
No. It's good.
Getting lost in my.
I think it's we've been recording for like almost 2 hours anyway, so it's probably getting close to wrap up. I do have one last question, even though it's a meme question, but it's what everyone asks. Everyone asks. I gotta ask it. Yeah, I know you know what it is. So, what's in the cracked bobble? My guess.
I don't know.
Is it another cracked bobble? It's just another one inside the cracked bobble. Yeah.
That'll be my answer always.
Yeah. Until they actually.
Appreciate you asking it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, because I know people are gonna ask that, and if I didn't ask, people are gonna be like, "Why didn't you ask him about the cracked bauble?" Like,
That's great.
I mean, I obviously know you can't say anything about it. Even if you did know, I'm sure you can't say anything. And I don't know. I'm getting into Flesh and Blood lore. I don't even know if they're gonna do anything with it. Though the art did change on the Monarch one. That'd be very interesting. It'd be very interesting to see how it changes, or if it does change in the future. That's something cool that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. I like that question. All these things are like they're really cool to me. It's just like it's very warm heart. I saw that in it's like the one of the comments in the thing too.
Oh yeah, people ask that on the Discord too. They're like, ask them about crack bubble. I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
Oh, I actually haven't been on Discord for a while. Like I was saying I lurk on there, but it's been a while actually. Yeah, since I joined the company, I haven't been checking it. Yeah.
I kind of lurk on the Flesh and Blood Discord. I don't really post on it. I have like my Patreon Discord that I use mostly with all the patrons and that kind of stuff. But I'll check the Flesh and Blood Discord every now and then. I have so much stuff to like look at and to do like throughout my day, so I can't like read every Discord that I'm a part of and stuff. It's just like time thing. So I keep up with my own personal one, and then like Facebook and Twitter, and all this stuff.
I didn't know you have a personal like a Red Zone Rogue Discord channel.
Yeah, it's only for currently it's only for patrons. It was a kind of like an experiment.
I see.
It was kind of an experiment because I don't know how much moderation I would need, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it for patrons only, because I know my patrons are going to be well behaved. They're not going to be like mean or rude or anything. And so I only have like maybe 40-ish people on there, and everyone's super nice, and all new patrons just ask questions. I might open it up to the greater community eventually. I've kind of made it into a place where people can talk about whatever they want, not just Flesh and Blood. So I do have a bunch of sections for Flesh and Blood, but I also have one for like, literally I just have one for video games. So if people want to talk about video games, you can talk about video games, or any other card game, or collecting, or whatever, like whatever aspect of it. I think I talked about anime for one point, like because I watched a show that I really liked, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good. Has anyone seen this?" But yeah,
I think that's important. I feel like even back to this like art groups, like we should be like friends with those people, and not just like beyond just like talking shop all day.
Yeah. I mean, like I really agree with the group thing too, because like I've made friends with some other content creators. I mean, I have DM Armada on my channel often, and some other people too, and I think it's good. I mean, it's not just to relate, like to have someone to relate to, but that's part of it too. So you can like talk to someone who knows kind of like what you're going through, and you can relate to things. And I also like the aspect, like you said, like if you see someone, they do something really sweet, something really cool, then it kind of gives me like motivation to like, step it up and do better.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, I do get the motivation. I'm like, oh, I know I can do better. I just got to try harder. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really... Yeah.
Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up, or?
I guess I should just, like, for all the artists out there, like, I thought it was amazing that video made about, like, how to support artists and stuff. Just a thank you, because, like, it's so cool we're doing this, in the first place, and that you're sharing the art and talk about how to get their prints and all that. And, like, the whole time, I guess, I didn't realize we'd talk for 2 hours, like, that we've just been talking about a lot of it about the art stuff, it's really nice, like, yeah, it's really cool. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on, man. Like, I really appreciate you like taking the time to come on and talk to me about random stuff for like 2 hours, mostly about art. But I appreciate it. I think
it's nice. Sorry, I was gonna say like as an artist, again, like working like alone in your home and stuff. It's so cool to see the community like care and reach out and stuff. Yeah, it's just it's really nice. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, that's okay. I was gonna say when I made some of those videos and I saw that some people were actually like going and like buying the art prints and stuff, and I was like, I consider that a success, even though those videos didn't get as much views as like some of the other videos. The fact that people went and like got the art and supported the artists and all that kind of stuff, I consider that a big success, because that was the point, right? That was the point, just to give light to the artists. It wasn't to be like have a really high viewed video. I just wanted to help out with something that I think was worth it.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's really nice. Yeah. So much love in the community.
It's a great
FAB is like really.
Flesh and Blood has a fantastic community. I've been in a lot of card game communities, and I can tell you Flesh and Blood has one of the best, if not the best, like communities that I've ever been a part of. So yeah, it's a
cool.
It's a really good time. Yeah.
It's good. Yeah, Love Fest. Very nice.
So once again, thank you so much for being on, man.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. For the folks out there who don't know, I guess, before we end, where can they find you on like social media and that kind of stuff?
I was gonna say I'm most active on Instagram, but I haven't posted a new piece there for like I think since Crucible. It's so bad. But so I was actually thinking last night before like I better update because you can see on my Discord or my Instagram the portrait of me is with spiky hair and like no facial hair and like the lockdown and all this. So it's like that's how long it's been. But it was like my thinking of I guess partially like staying off all the stuff for a little bit. But when I do jump back on, which I hope to is for it to be soon, Instagram's where to find me. I guess I post an ArtStation, but I don't use it too much because I'm not looking for commission work and stuff, so I'm not actively searching or looking for art like jobs. But I'm fairly active on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Yeah. All of them you can find me just by the handle, like my full name. Sam Yang is a very common name. So there's a YouTuber called Sam Yang, amazing artist who is the new Sam Yang who's really popular, and like I keep getting messages about like, hey, can you do a commission like this? And it's one of his artworks. But before that, there was another Sam Yang, famously from Blizzard. I actually got an interview from Riot. Back then, the Riot art director asking if I wanted to come in and be a concept artist, and I was like, oh, 3D artist. I'm like, I think you got the wrong Sam Yang. And they were like, oh, we did it, and then your silence. But yeah, I'm actually friends with the other Blizzard artists and stuff too. But yeah, so you'll find me, but look for the FAB art, and also go support those other Sam Yangs. Help us all.
I'll have to look them up. I didn't know about him. I'm gonna look him up myself after this. So
yeah. His one's my Sam Yang art. His is Sam Does Art, and then the Blizzard one is just if you search Sam Yang Blizzard, you'll find his stuff. When I just graduated, my mom told me like, oh, I think you should change your name because I went to search you up, and this guy who's way better than you. I had this whole thing. It's really nice to talk to the guy about it, like when we knew each other.
That's really funny. I guess that's some advice. I guess. It's really good.
Actually, I almost forgot this. I guess I'm planning to like I've been working on creating a website.
Oh, sweet.
With like So if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I'll post the details of that kind of stuff when I have my prints ready, and I'm going to sell my prints off the website and stuff.
Ooh.
And my plan is to make like a kind of working blog where I talk about the fab pieces I do. So like I want to break down, and maybe like I'll include like I had a little thing for the Dash one that I didn't continue, so I want to do that. But I'll post up the details. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely go follow Sam on Instagram and Facebook, especially if you want to get in on those like art prints and that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely go do that. Yeah, it's awesome. I looked at the timer and I was like,
I'm sorry.
2 hours.
Ran the clock.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours and 6 minutes that I've been like
That's
recording.
Crazy.
I'm gonna hit stop now. But thank you so much for coming on, man. I really do appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, me too. It's really nice.
Have a good one, everyone.